Hi everyone, and welcome to Meatball to Bagel. I'm Reanna.
And I'm Spencer. And we saw Puffs! Or 7 increasingly eventful years at a certain school of magic and magic. Reanna, tell us what it was about.
Okay. Puffs is a story that takes place during the 7 years that Harry Potter and his friends were at Hogwarts. But the twist of the story is that it follows the kids in Hufflepuff House, who are kind of ignored during the duration of the book. And specifically, it follows Wayne, who through all of his childhood and all of his time at Hogwarts, he desperately wants to be a hero. I would say he basically wants to be Harry Potter.
Yeah.
He spends most of the play being jealous of Harry and wishing that he could do the things that Harry does. And it covers all of the huge events that happen that lead up to, beginning with the getting sorted, getting your letter actually, being sorted, and then going all the way through the Battle of Hogwarts at the end with Voldemort. So, Spencer, why did you want to see this show?
Well, as you can tell, I am quite a Harry Potter fan. But this show sounded like a really cool little parody, and I wanted to see what they did with that. It was, I heard it was really funny and that it had a lot of different, slapstick and things like that. Or, so I wanted to see what they did with it. And the fact that it was, Puffs, and it's about Hufflepuffs that kind of get overlooked in the book a lot, except for Cedric.
Yeah.
It was, so it was fun to watch that too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Why did you?
I had been avoiding seeing the show for years.
Why?
I didn't want to. I'm a Harry Potter purist, so I was already worried that I wasn't going to like it.
Not pure enough to
It
wear a
wasn't
robe.
Yeah, well, not rich enough to afford one.
Oh.
But I was worried that I was just going to be upset the whole time at things that didn't make sense with the book, even though it is a parody and it's not supposed to make total sense with the story. But so I've been avoiding it, but having somebody who's a fan like I am to go and see it with was actually what excited me the most about seeing the show.
Aww.
Aww.
Because you wanted to see it with me?
I wanted to see it with you.
We did have a really good time.
No, we did. Yeah, we did. And talking about it afterwards we had a good time.
Yeah.
Too. So what I thought was actually also exciting about the story, and what I really liked about it, was just the idea of being able to be immersed in the world of Hufflepuff. Like, as soon as we walked in, and you looked around the space, and you were like, oh my god, the realization of, oh my god, I'm in the Hufflepuff common room.
Yeah.
Which is complete, it's the only common room that Harry doesn't go into.
Yeah, right.
And so that was really exciting. And it was really well done, too, because you could immediately tell you were there, and you got the sense of, like, I'm in this place that's part of the story, but is never explored. And so I really enjoyed that kind of, like, immersive set design in it.
Yeah, definitely when we walked in, that was one of the first things, before we started talking about other things, was one of the first things we noticed was just the way that we felt like we were somewhere else.
Yeah.
Which we both thought was really cool. The set design by Madeline Bundy.
And she did the costumes.
The costumes?
I also thought were fabulous.
So she did a really good job.
She did a good job with the design. And what I loved about the costumes is that when you're reading the books, at least when I read them and reread them, I am always placing it in the time that I'm in. Like right now when I'm rereading Order of the Phoenix, and it's taking place in 2018 because it is 2018.
Yeah.
But what was nice about the costumes is that you realized that, oh my god, the play takes place in 1991. All of the pop culture references that were in the costumes I thought were a beautiful touch. Like when he's wearing that shirt, Wayne's wearing the shirt that says Teenage Mutant Wizard Turtles, because he wrote the word wizard over ninja. Things like that I thought were just something you don't get when you're reading the book, but it's still true to the story.
Well, I really like that. I mean, there were a lot of times, not just with the costumes that they did that, but there was a lot of times in the script that I got a kick out of it when they would make references to things that were going on at the time.
Yeah.
Of the stories, because you don't get any of that.
No, and that's kind of something in the books that, I mean, to talk about the book for a second, that J.K. probably should have explored a little bit more, because all of those kids were Muggles. Although Dean Thomas does have regular posters on his wall, the soccer posters,
Yeah.
and Ron's like, I don't understand, these posters aren't moving.
Yeah, that's true.
But I digress.
I mean, one of the things that I really liked about this show was the humor in it. I really did get a kick out of this show. I know you did. We're not laughing as much as I was, but I found there was a lot of different styles of humor in it. There was the parody and the things that are like really specifically Harry Potter references. Okay. And some of those were funny and some of them weren't, but then there was like slapstick.
And that was it.
And there was,
and what else was there?
Well, there's also sight gags, and there was, it's hard to remember exactly what each element of humor was, but there was a kind of a buckshot of humor, and I got a kick out of a lot of it. So when the play hit its rougher patches, I was still sort of enjoying it because it was funny.
Remembering the jokes?
Well, because it was funny, and I was enjoying it as I was watching it.
Yeah.
I wasn't, like, stimulated, like by a great piece of theater, but I was definitely smiling, and I had tears in my eyes at times.
Yeah, no, there were definitely funny things. The impersonations of the teachers, specifically Severus Snape, I thought was hilarious. I just thought it was hilarious. As soon as he started talking, it was just... that particular moment was just so well done.
And he also played, which I thought was a really funny character, was the Hufflepuff ghost. I think was the same actor who did that. And he just sort of floated around and like had
And the Fat Friar is a ghost that is completely ignored in the entire book series. So that was cool seeing that. Also, what was really nice was getting to like truly understand how they felt in the Goblet of Fire when Harry also came out of the goblet. So that was really nice because they talk about how they don't like how even the Hufflepuffs were wearing the Potter Stinks badges. But they don't explore it obviously because it's Harry's story. So nobody really cares about the Hufflepuffs in it. Yeah. But it was nice to see like how horribly it affected them when their one shot at like real glory was swept away because of Harry.
Well, that brings me to something else which was sort of not so great about the play, which was like the emotional aspect of this play. It's not very well done. It's like,
well, there really is no emotional aspect.
Well, the thing was that when the play got to its more emotional bits, like I felt uncomfortable because it was, and not in a good way where the play is making you uncomfortable because it's uncomfortable, but it was actually uncomfortable because it was like, it was poorly done. It was like, okay, here's a sad moment. When's the next joke?
Yeah.
Kind of stuff. And
well, the problem there is that none of these characters were developed, which confuses me because this play has been running successfully for a long time. But I think it brings about a bigger issue in theater, is that why do we as like an audience allow parody to fall short of also having substance?
Well, I mean, I don't know, but I would say this though about the play is that for what it is, I did enjoy it a lot. But yeah, the emotional moments sort of like, they left me.
I just didn't care.
Well,
at all.
Yeah.
About any of them.
Yeah.
Unless it was Ernie Macmillan, who they called Ernie Mac, or Justin Finch Fletchley, who they called Jay Finch. So these were people that I knew that I already cared about.
Yeah, but honestly, Wayne, I didn't really even care about them.
Whoever the girl is.
Yeah. Yeah, that is definitely a big thing. Is the main characters in this play, to me, are so forgettable.
Yeah. Like,
I don't remember their names at all. Like, I have shorthand names for them in my head.
And I also think that it's unfortunate that because it's a parody, they decided to make all of the Hufflepuffs jokes. Because to me, that's like the cheap, easy... It's like using time travel to save a story. It's the cheap, easy way out. Oh, the Hufflepuffs are all jokes. every single one of them is a joke.
Well,
even Cedric Diggory was a joke.
Okay.
And so why?
But to be fair to that, like, there is a sort of heart to the play which I liked more, which was less about like the emotional moments and more about the themes of Puffs. If you could consider there being a theme of that, they are they're less skilled in the beginning, but they find their way. They're sort of forgotten people that, you know, also have their place in the story. So like,
they don't really place anywhere.
They have their place is sort of where the play comes to at the end, though. It's like they are not the main players of the Harry Potter series, but everybody is the main character of their own story, kind of a
and that's
cliche.
The moral of
and
so I mean, even the moral, even the like theme of the play is cliche. It's lazy writing.
Well,
why?
Here's the thing.
Why?
Here's the thing about the writing. I don't know. This play doesn't strike me as being written like.
Well, I know it started at the People's Improv Theater. So how much of it came out of improv work?
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
Because that's what it feels like.
Well,
feels like it feels like when you're watching an improv show and you're like, wow, that was a good one. That one wasn't so good. They kind of missed that. Oh, the next one was better. That's sort of what it felt like.
Well, we both said when we left the theater that it felt like a college show, right?
Yeah, funny college
show. It felt like a funny college show.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about that because when I was thinking about the writing of this play, and when you bring up the writing, it doesn't feel like it's written. It feels like a bunch of college students got around in a room and started saying, wouldn't it be funny if in Harry Potter this happened? Or wouldn't it be funny if the Hufflepuffs were the main focus?
That's a good
And then they started riffing, and a lot of the jokes feel like riffs.
They came
and
from
sometimes they go on too long because they're riffs.
Yeah, and fine, that's fair. But then let's talk about Mr. Burns, a post-apocalyptic play. Because...
Well, I didn't see it.
Well, you didn't see it, but the same and you... Spencer, you should see it. Are you crazy? Anyway,
I know.
Anyway, the concept is that literally is that that's how it was written, and there's a bunch of people sitting around a fire talking about an episode of The Simpsons, and the play is brilliant, and it's filled with this amazing substance and these characters that you're connected to, and it's hilarious. How could it not be? It's about The Simpsons, but it's funny, it's thoughtful, it's thought-provoking, it moves you, whereas Puffs is like, sometimes it's really funny. And saying it's really funny is being generous, but sometimes it's funny.
Well, not to me. I found it really funny.
Sometimes it's really funny, but that's all it is. And fine, but then why even try to be something else? Why put this storyline in about this girl and her mother, and her mother's, whoever the girl is, her mother was a supporter of Voldemort, so she's in Azkaban, and that's like a big deal. And they don't explore
prison,
that.
If you don't know Harry Potter.
If you don't know Harry Potter, don't watch this episode. But
or this play.
Yeah, we should have said that. Don't see the play if you haven't read or seen Harry Potter.
Well, we'll talk about recommendations later.
But the main girl.
She played Megan.
Megan.
Yeah.
Megan. Okay, so the main girl is Megan.
Emo girl.
Emo girl.
Yeah.
But Megan. So the interesting thing about Megan that's not explored in the books is that she has a parent who was a Death Eater, and that's never explored in the books. It is explored in the game, but in the new game. But it's not explored in the book, so that was interesting, and they had an opportunity. That's what I don't like about this play, is that it had these great opportunities to explore things that are true in the books, but not explored, and they don't do anything worthwhile with them. Because that storyline was, just take it out. It's so bad. Take it out.
I think that's fair to say, because as much as I enjoyed the humor and was entertained the whole time, you were less so, but I was entertained the whole time. Like I said before, I definitely felt that in the more emotional moments, and certainly these storylines.
And what I don't understand is that let me pull up. The New York Times said.
Oh yeah, let's talk about the critics.
Yeah, well,
who reviewed this show.
Everybody loves this. I feel like I'm the only person who didn't who admits that they didn't love the show?
I think that people actually liked the show, but I think people give it a pass.
Because it's a parody show, and they don't expect a parody show to be good.
Because they laughed a lot.
Yeah, well, I think we should do a parody show and do a good one and show everybody how to do it. But this is what they said. It's Puffs. To say Puffs is a lot of fun might be an understatement. You'll laugh a lot, but the show has its heartfelt and slightly serious moments too. No, it doesn't.
Well,
no, it doesn't.
The show,
it's supposed to.
It's supposed to,
but
yeah.
it doesn't.
The show itself has those moments, but yeah, at least for me, and I guess for you too, these moments didn't work.
I think it just completely falls flat.
They
like
don't
you just do, and so without spoiling the ending, the point is when the ending happens, I don't care. I don't care at all.
Yeah.
I was not moved emotionally, and I am emotionally moved by commercials. I am emotionally moved when I read Harry Potter and reread and reread and reread, I'll still cry. And I was not moved at all. I didn't care.
Yeah, well, for me, it wasn't that I didn't care. It was that I felt uncomfortable with sort of how these moments were handled. They just sort of were there. And
Yeah.
I was like kind of frozen thinking, when are we going to get back to the funny part? Because
Yeah.
I like the funny part, but I'm not really into this emotional thing that's not working.
That's
like
not
because
happening?
because it should work. If they tried
if they put
harder.
the work in. Yeah, if they put the work in. So I don't know if I want to say it's the fault of the director or if it's the fault of the actors or if it's collectively everybody's fault. But clearly there's no commitment to anything that's actually happening except for the jokes.
Well, I'll say this about commitment to the jokes, is that the style of humor is really zany. It's really wacky. And that does take a level of commitment to do.
No, they're committed to their jokes.
They are like a lot of times very good at it. Really pushing that style of over the top and wackiness
and sometimes their jokes are brilliant. What they did with Zachariah Smith,
oh my god,
I thought was wonderful.
I was crying.
What they did with Harry, I thought was blasphemous.
I thought it was funny. I wasn't hysterically laughing at. I mean, they make a joke about Harry Potter. Or they make a consistent joke about Harry
joke
Potter.
That he's not special.
Well, basically that he's an entitled.
He's
little girl.
He's entitled. Oh, because entitled people have their parents murdered when they're 1 and then basically get locked in a broom cupboard for the first 11 years. It's not even an intelligent joke. Come up with an intelligent joke about Harry.
No, it's not an intelligent joke.
I can't talk about
but
Harry.
It's still kind of funny.
It's not funny at all.
I
No.
think it's kind of funny.
No, it's not funny at all. I would be interested, mildly interested. I would be interested in reading the script for what the family-friendly version is on the weekends.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go see it, but I would be
family
interested in
friendly.
reading the script.
I didn't know there was a family-friendly
And it's
version.
running in Australia now, too. They're doing this in Australia, which makes sense because it's such like an international... The story is like an international phenomenon, basically.
Well, speaking of the family thing, I didn't realize that there was a family-friendly version, but I was surprised when I saw the show about how raunchy some of the comedy got, because I did expect it to be sort of okay for kids.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't know that they had a family version.
Yeah, it's on the weekends.
But some of the jokes really, at times, go too far, like with their raunchiness. It starts to get like not funny anymore.
Yeah.
It starts off funny. Where they're
It's like an improv gone on too long.
Yeah, but
like
that's the feeling I think a lot of the time. That's why it feels like the show wasn't really written. It feels like it was brainstormed. Like the show feels like it was brainstormed more than it was actually sat
and then
down.
they were like, okay, take these ideas and go up on stage now.
Yeah,
and let's do it.
But I think there was more attention paid to a storyline than that.
But that's what the feeling.
But that's what the feeling is.
Well, can we talk about what happened with the sound though, while we still have time?
We got a great.
We got
show.
a bonus in our show. We had a little bonus.
The show doesn't have an intermission, but we got one.
But we got one.
Yeah, we got an intermission.
We got an intermission. So we're in the Tri-Wizard tournament, and they're on their brooms or it might be Cedric. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Cedric with the dog. Somebody is facing the dragon.
I'm pretty sure it's Cedric.
Because why would it be?
Yeah.
Why would it be Harry? But it's
Harry just wanders through the play and talks like a girl.
Yeah, that's true.
It's funny.
So Cedric is facing the dragon, and Cedric is facing a dragon. It's a climax, right?
And it's actually a good moment. Like, it's funny.
It's funny.
And it's energetic.
Yeah.
And they're like,
and the set does this cool thing where it like opens up and it becomes deeper, and so it's good. Except that, and so for those of you, if you remember in the story, Little Bagman does the spell Sonorous to his throat so that his voice is like magically enhanced, like he's on a microphone. So the character is holding a microphone. Haha, funny. But
at least they use the prop.
Yeah, fine. But so then, so he's using the microphone, and apparently the sound went out. I didn't realize that the sound went out. But
I knew
you did.
I knew the sound. Well, I knew that something had happened to the sound, but I didn't know it wasn't on purpose. I didn't know if the effect had changed or something. Yeah. So I recognized that there was something like had happened.
I didn't even notice. And then they say, can all of the actors please go backstage, or all of the artists,
please hold.
Artists please hold, and they went backstage, and I'm thinking, what? Well, this is kind of funny because they're trying to make it like something messed up.
Joke.
I thought it was a joke too, and I was like, that's kind of funny.
And then they
then they stopped the show.
They said, please hold.
Sorry, we have to reboot our system.
Yeah, it was like, and then it was about a minute after it happened that we started realizing, oh, this isn't a part of the play.
Yeah.
It was actually a problem.
Yeah, and so then we had about 15 minutes to go back to our debate about the time turners in Prisoner of Azkaban.
It wasn't quite 15 minutes, was it? 10 minutes?
That was close.
Whatever it was, it felt like a while, especially because the moment they chose to stop the play was intense. It was actually a fun moment.
Yeah. And then whoever's in charge of like when they start the show decides that it would be a good idea to go back 15 seconds before that moment, where it would be impossible to create that kind of hype. So now you just have this like empty moment with this dragon where nobody cares, and you're like, why did they go back? So
they got past it pretty quickly.
It was awful.
It was awkward.
It was awful.
It was awkward.
The only thing that's funny is that at the end that they did that sort of call back to it.
At the end, they have like a wrap up where the character who's sort of a narrator throughout the whole play.
Yeah.
And then you learn about who he is. He has a moment where he's doing his narration thing to the audience, where he made a joke about it, because they're talking about how puffs do this and puffs do that, and sometimes they stub their toe or something like that.
Sometimes they have to reboot their sound system.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was a nice. That was a nice callback to at least
they acknowledge
it exactly, because it was so awkward. Well, I guess to wrap it up, I would say.
Well, who would you recommend this show to?
Mild Harry Potter fans.
Mild?
Mild.
What do you mean by mild?
Like people who are like, oh, I've seen the movies, I've never read the books.
Huh. That's interesting, because I am a huge fan of the series, but I actually got a kick out of this. I wouldn't see the show again. But,
right, exactly.
But I would definitely recommend it to people who are fans of the series. Like, if you're not too...
if you're not a purist.
If you're
a purist, don't see the show. That's my recommendation.
If you're not a purist. But if you like a sort of more irreverent humor towards something that you love, you'll like it. Because, like, I like that. Like, I love Harry Potter, and I love the series. Yeah. But I could still laugh at some of the things that they're doing.
Here's who you could... If you like the books and the movies, you should see Puffs.
Well, okay.
Because I hate the movies.
That's your opinion. I don't like the movies, though.
Yeah, but you don't hate them as much as I do.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I don't hate them as much as you do.
Not as much as I do.
But yeah, I would recommend... personally, I would recommend it to Harry Potter fans and people who don't mind not being on the inside of an inside joke.
Yeah, don't see it if you haven't read Harry Potter. Also, if you're dying to see a Harry Potter play and you can't afford tickets to Cursed Child,
which they have
then fine. Which it was hilarious that in this they have an ad for the Cursed Child, which I thought was
they also have an ad for the playbill.
Yeah, that's what I thought was kind of ridiculous.
They had an ad for it in the show too.
Did they?
Wasn't it at the end of the show or something? They had like a some kind of a highlight of Harry Potter and the Cursed
Well,
Child.
if we win the lottery, that you can only play on Fridays, we'll review Cursed
We can
Child.
see Cursed Child.
Other than that, this was the closest we could get to a Harry Potter play.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I had a good time.
Yeah, me too.
You did have
I
a
did.
good time.
Yeah, no, I did.
Even if you didn't.
I love
like
to hate
the
it.
play.
I did. I love to hate it.
I liked the play.
All right, well, thanks for tuning in to our first episode ever of Meatball to Bagel.
Yeah.
And join us again for more riveting theater talk.
And make sure that you watch us always. I don't know.
You're just gonna scare them at the end?
I don't know. Needed to give.
Take out your wand, do a spell!
Endo camera. Oh.